Alright guys, hey, so here's the deal. I am away on vacation, but I wanted to catch you up with a brand new introductory lesson here, something that you could totally do and get some serious Instagram likes like tomorrow. What I'm going to do is give you guys about 2 or 3 days to work on this project while I'm away. Um, the reason I'm going to give you a lot of time to work on this, as opposed to just one day or something, is because I want it to be done really, really well. Good detail with this, okay? So for this project, you are entirely going to be using the pen tool. You don't need to worry about that paintbrush tool or any of the kind of little extra guys we talked about. Even the shape tool or the text tool, you probably don't need to worry about. But what we're going to do is we're going to work primarily with this pen tool, and we're going to be using it to create a polygon-based photograph of either yourself, someone you know, could be someone famous. Really, who it is totally, totally up to you. You've probably seen these things around. They're not necessarily a new device or anything like that, but it's definitely something that's been kind of floating around. So, for example, what we're looking at is something like this here. This Obama one is really nice, but maybe it's a little bit simplistic. You probably want to do a little bit more polygons than that, something a little bit higher res. Something like this would be phenomenal. This is absolutely what we're looking for. Kind of a low polygon portrait of yourself. Now, it looks like it's going to be really super complicated, and it is not going to be that complicated. In fact, it's just going to be a little bit time consuming and take a little bit of kind of artistic flair on your part. So again, who you choose to use, totally up to you. But we're going to use Illustrator to make something that's a little bit more kind of hip and new and looking pretty cool. Like I said, I'm sure you guys have seen stuff like this before. So in Illustrator, first things first, you're going to find yourself a photograph. I'm just going to use this one of a really handsome guy that I found on the internet. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. First things first, though, I'm going to go ahead and open up my Layers menu. I'm going to make sure that I lock up that picture, and I'm going to make a new layer. Now, considering we just came off of working with our infographic project, most likely, automatically, if you do File New or if you import your picture or something, most likely you've got a huge working canvas, so we don't necessarily want that. Instead, I'm going to want to change the size of my canvas. Now, I could do File New, and it would pop up and it would ask me what size do I want, and I'd say, oh, I don't want it in inches, I want it to be 8 by 11 or something like that. But instead I'm going to show you an even easier way. I'm going to introduce you to artboards, and that's this little tiny square within a square over here. It's usually connected to your layers. If you do not have it, you can always click on Window, and artboards is right there. Now, artboards is basically kind of a really nice way of thinking about the layer that is going to get printed as far as the overall scale. And you can make more than one, and it's a whole thing. But for right now, we're only introducing the basic concept. So think about the artboard as kind of this giant white box that we are drawing in. So all you need to do to change the size is to come over here to this little tiny kind of square with little dots around it there. Double click on him, and that gives you the ability to crop, but it also, you'll see here, gives you the ability to change the width and the height. In our case, for this particular project, I'm going to ask that you guys make it much, much smaller than 40 by 25. We're not doing another infographic. So instead, this time, let's make it, let's just go simple 8.5 by 11. Really easy, right? So 8.5 inches by 11 inches. So we're going to do it portrait, and there you go. Okay, so that changed it up. I'm going to go right back to my Layers menu. Now, at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in, and of course, I could use the magnifying glass or anything else to do that. Now, something else that you don't know, is I can zoom in way easier than we have been before. Normally, we grab the magnifying glass, and I can click, or I can hold down the Alt-Option key and click, and that'll zoom me back out. I can also zoom down here. But something else that you may not have noticed, if I hold down Alt-Option, even with my black arrow selected there, if I hold down Alt-Option, I can then just use 2 fingers on my trackpad or the little rolly ball on my mouse, and I can actually zoom in and out. So it's much, much quicker than before. All right, so first layer's locked, so that means I can't adjust my picture at all. It's looking good. In fact, actually, before I go ahead and do that, I'm going to go ahead and just expand this. I'm going to hold down Shift so it expands in proportion. I'd hate to have a skewed face. That would not be good. So I'm going to hold down Shift. There it is, large and in charge, or pretends to be. So I'm going to kind of line this up a little bit so that I like it. In fact, I'm going to shrink him just a little bit. There we go. Get my whole head on there. All right, so I've got my portrait. I'm ready to transform it into some cool vector. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that. Go to my first layer. Now, whenever you're thinking about polygons, the big key is, see, you notice they're triangles. Everything in this picture that you're looking at right now is triangles. And it kind of goes back to, think like old school video games, right, that are a little bit lower resolution, right? You can kind of see those little tiny polygons. But what we're going to do is purposefully use that design to make something that's a little bit cooler looking, right? A little bit more kind of retro. So, to do that, I'm going to start off by just thinking about similarly to how we did for the animal drawing, right? I started just kind of putting these shapes down. In this case, though, I'm going to kind of think about, okay, I see a lot of different colors here, right? Almost like we're using this eyedropper tool, right? There's lots of different colors, light, dark, and all in between. All right, so here's what we're going to do. As we're going along, you can kind of see, like I said, this kind of light to dark, there's all these different colors inside of here. So what we need to do is find a way of using only polygons, using only triangles to make up this overall portrait. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to grab this eyedropper tool, and I want to make, see, it's kind of a triangle right there. I kind of see one. I'm going to start off there. So I'm going to grab kind of an overall, just kind of a generic color for that value right there. And you know what, I'm going to go ahead and hold down Alt-Option and zoom on in. Wow, that is really, really close. I'm going to zoom on in, click 1, 2, 3. There's my nice little triangle. Going to go ahead and close it off. That's it. That's one down, right? That's it. So, okay, next up, let's see. You know what, I see kind of a, now that I got that on there, it kind of starts to domino. I see another triangle kind of right here. So again, I'm going to go ahead and grab that eyedropper. Figure out kind of a generic color for that shape. Notice that I'm taking my time, right? I'm not just randomly clicking. And there's that. Nice and good, right? Okay. Same thing. Let's just kind of keep building out here. Looks like I see a smaller guy right there. That's what I see. I'm going to go ahead and grab my eyedropper again. Grab him. And grab my pen. And I can connect. And let's see, something like... And there it is. And notice how whenever I'm using this pen tool, I'm literally kind of connecting to my previous line, even though I've changed my color. That way it stays really nice and crisp. The one thing you do not want is like a weird little, like, you know, like a gap in there. Because whenever you're done, you're going to turn this off, and that weird white gap is going to really look pretty funky, and you do not want that. So watch out for those kind of things. Now, other stuff that you can notice, if I just put my mouse over top of my tools over here, you'll see I get this little yellow pop-up here that says Pen Tool P, Eye Tool, or Eyedropper Tool I. So instead of clicking back and forth, instead now watch. Okay, let's see. Find another shape. I'm going to do this kind of eyebrow chunk, right? Grab that. Now, I need to grab my pen tool, but instead of having to go back, I can just hit the letter P. Look at that, magically transforms my my mouse into my pen tool. So I'm going to go ahead and make a triangle. Now you're going to be tempted, to try and make maybe a trapezoid or a multi-shaped, multi-angled thing. We are sticking only to triangles. But notice how if I do these really big triangles like I just did, here I'll turn this off. Notice how big that triangle is? Notice how whenever I made that big triangle, it basically destroyed my eyebrow entirely. It's too big, right? That's why your project is so much of a long deadline, right? So instead, think about a smaller shape. Maybe change that color, old eyedropper. And again, I'm going to hit P for my pen tool. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. They don't have to be perfect triangles. We're not talking, you know, right angles every time, but they do have to be triangles. Now, same thing. Let's see. The letter I. So instead of clicking my mouse tool, I'm just going to click letter I, grab that tool, letter P, back and forth. Here we go. Connect. And maybe down to a triangle. Let's see, what do you think? Like here, here, and there. There you go. Back to my letter I for my eyedropper. Grab a new color. Oops, see now, that was still selected. That's no bueno. Gotta back that truck up. So now we want to deselect first. Okay, let's grab the next color. Pen tool, align her up. Something like that. Now those look to be almost the same color if you ask me. They look really, really identical. But you know what, because I use that eyedropper tool, technically they are not the exact same color. Now, to you and I, our naked eye, we're never going to know the difference. But as you keep going on and you start building out your entire face, you're going to get something that looks really original and very, very talented. That's something you can actually show off. Now, what I want to take your attention to is right there. Look at that guy. That is really pretty janky. Look how those lines are kind of overlapping, right? If I change this color just real quick, I'll let you see it a little bit easier. Right there. Look at that. Look how they're overlapping. That is not good. So even after you've completely finished your picture, please take a couple seconds, go along, grab those anchor tools, or anchor points there, and let's use our white mouse to move him right on top. Look how much cleaner that looks. God, that looks so much better, right? So if you're wondering, how's Mr. Kozak going to grade this? If you're thinking, okay, I want to make sure to knock this one out of the park, he's away, and I want to make sure to really kill this project, you need to do those couple things. Only triangles. Take your time to make this entire face, right? Take your time. And then also we're only really using the pen and the eyedropper tool. So don't accidentally grab the paintbrush tool and just start drawing all over the place, or the pencil tool or something like that. This is nothing you want on your paper right now. We want to stick to that pen tool, we want to stick to triangles, we want to stick to really clean, crisp lines. So again, just for example here, let's see if I can just zoom on in here. Turn on that underlying picture. Grab my little magic wand tool there, or excuse me, my eyedropper. So I want this color, right? Let's see. So line it up. 1. Take my time. 2. Over here. 3. Oh gosh, totally janked it up. That does happen. I don't want that, right? There we go. Well, let's cut that in half. That'll be way better. All right, let's do it once more. Eyedropper tool. Grab that color. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and connect right there. Let's see what's happening. Here's the problem, right? Whenever I go to actually connect, you can see how by my mouse I get a little tiny minus sign, a little tiny plus sign. Basically what's happening is I can make little nodes or subtract nodes that are already there. And that's exactly what's happening. As I keep clicking along, I'm getting these nodes that are kind of interacting with each other, and that's causing it to kind of get these blowouts, right? So what's the solution? Well, I'm going to back up here real quick. Okay, so I've got this piece here. I want to make another triangle right there. I know that I really want these things to line up extra crisp and clean. So I'm going to take my time again, zoom on in. You always want to see my forehead this close, I know. Grab this color here, jump over and watch. Easy peasy, lock it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab this. Notice how those little green lines help me anchor my points right there. But because I'm on a new layer, I'm not going to mess anything up, right? Really easy. Now everything's lined up. It looks good. Let's just take a peek real quick. Look at that. Look how flush those lines are. Really extra nice. So whenever I zoom back out again, starting to get something. Now here's the deal. This is going to take you a while, especially if you have some really fine detail up in my teeth, my eyeballs, my ears over there. You do not need to do a background. Again, like I said, we're looking for something that focuses on the face, not necessarily the background. Whenever you are totally done, you are welcome to do something in the background if you'd like to. But again, it has to be vectorized. I don't want you to just grab a random, picture or something. So let's kind of think about what else you could do in the background. Maybe you could do like a gradient or something crazy like that. So keep it not cartoony. We want to keep it realistic. And I will also throw out, if you're feeling particularly spry, whenever you're all done with this, if you finish, you must do one that's realistic. But whenever you're all done, if you want to factor in maybe something a little bit, maybe more, fancy, a little bit more out there. For example, something like this Jim Morrison one. If you want to do something maybe a little bit more fauvistic or kind of crazy out there colors, I'm totally cool with you doing that. Even if it's not you, if you want to do another like random famous person, I'm totally down with that. But you have to do at least one picture first, fully realistically. If you finish that and you decide to do something that's a little bit out there, I'll give you a little bit extra bonus points for that too. Okay? So that's your project. Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. If you have any questions along the way, you can always email me, send me a message on DeviantArt, whatever you want. I'll easily be able to check my messages, and I'll get back to you absolutely super quick like that. So you've got today, you've got next class, and if you're in green day, you've got a third, and if you're in white day, well then I'll be back on Monday, so I'll see you then, okay? So you got 3 singular days. That is such a long time. Whenever I get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about text and how to control text to utilize it to make images, okay? So there you go. If you have any major questions, drop me a line. See you guys.